I hope that you all can understand English, or there is some kind of live translation. So if you can, like, please raise your hand. Yeah, okay. Some of you, great. For the rest of you, if you're not that familiar with English, that's gonna be a bit more challenging. But I hope there's gonna be some translation opportunity. So yeah, this is gonna be a React Native workshop, and we'll start with some introduction of who we are. With Oscar about CallStack, which is the company that we work for. We'll go through the talk about the building apps without the build step. This is about remote caching and what you can achieve with that. Then we'll go to the second part. It's going to be Oscar's talk about the native interactions in your application, so they feel like mobile apps instead of like web apps. So it's about the polish and taking care in those interactions. And then we will follow up with an actual hands-on session. So we'll build a React Native app, and you'll have a small task to do. That will involve calling native APIs and animations, and for those that are already familiar with React Native, some adjustments with gesture handling, etc. So this is actually something that I've just described. The last part is gonna be a Q&A session. So we want to make sure you can ask us as many questions as you like. Can we confirm that this session is running till 5:30? Okay, cool. So we have around 3.5 hours. I hope that's gonna be enough. We may make some small breaks in the like during the session, so you can have some time to soak in the new knowledge. And I think we can start. So I'll start with a small introduction to CallStack. CallStack is a React and React Native expert agency. We hire one of the top engineers in the React Native and React ecosystem. And with those engineers, we do two things. First, we serve our enterprise clients, which big companies. We're doing all kinds of services around making these companies' engineering culture and engineering products more relevant. And the second thing that we're doing is our research and development. So we are actually building tools for other developers. We're building libraries, and yeah, we'll get to some of that a bit later. CallStack is proud to work in this open source area, so this second part of our nature. And as a part of that, we want to be as close to the technologies and the vendors that are creating these technologies as possible. So we're officially partners of some of the most influential organizations in the React Native, JavaScript, and open source ecosystems. So, for example, we are one of the official partners of Meta for React Native. We're partnering with AWS, their Amazon Developers Program as well. We are members of W3C for the machine learning and some other working groups. And we're also partners with NX and NX Cloud. By the way, is NX something that you use somewhere here in China or not really? Yeah, maybe not you. Yeah, this is like a monorepo thing. Anyway, now CallStack was founded in 2016, so roughly almost a year after React Native was created. And it was founded by our founder, Mike Grabowski, who is the CTO currently. We have over 200 team members, successfully developed over 50 projects, and we help companies such as DirecTV, Expensify, Momo, PwC, MLS, Dream11, this is like fantasy from India. We work together with FutureWay on some of the Open Harmony stuff, and Ticketmaster, and this is like only a part of the projects that we're either actively doing or have done in the past. So we are, like, our premise and our core services are around consulting, product development, and enterprise solutions. So with CallStack, you can either hire us, or we just work as consultants. So we provide our expert knowledge in React and React Native for all the companies that need that. We are also developing apps ideally for all the platforms out there, from iOS, Android, TV platforms, Windows and Mac OS, or Vision Pro, or Harmony. And we almost solely work with enterprise, client and enterprise solutions. So we adopt React Native at scale, help those big companies move from legacy technologies, mobile technologies or web technologies, to React and React Native. Now we are organizing one of the biggest and the first, actually the other was first, but our was first announced. So we are organizing one of the biggest conference in the React Native ecosystem, and definitely the most influential one, React Universe Conf. It's happening in Wrocław every year. It was just in like last week. We wrapped up the whole week of the conference and some surrounding activities. And the next one is going to be in 2026. So feel invited. The ticket sales will probably start soon. And it's really like, I've been to a few conferences. This is one of the top one. It's a single track, so there's no multiple rooms that you go. There's just one stage, and there's around 600, 700 people that you can interact with, and they're both core contributors to React Native and regular users. We are also organizing another conference, the ReactConf, which is the ReactConf. This is the most important conference in the React world. It's happening in a month in Henderson, Nevada, or closer to Las Vegas. It's really cool. I'm not sure if the tickets are still available, but it's definitely worth to take part in the lottery. This is what's happening with these conferences. And if you have the opportunity to go there, it's also one of the best ones. So CallStack is, we mentioned, a huge on open source. I mean, this is in our DNA. We have over 300 commits to React Native as a library, as a framework itself. Our libraries have been downloaded over 20 million times, and we have like over 10K stars for GitHub open source. These are some stats that doesn't matter that much. So with that, not so sure introduction, sorry about talking about CallStack, our company, for so long. We can actually start with the premise of our session, which is building native apps for any platform without a build step. So, a bit about me, as Edward mentioned. Thank you for the introduction. I'm a principal engineer at CallStack. I work in our incubator team, which means I'm full, like in like full part, I'm involved in our research and development. So I'm creating libraries for developers like you full-time, which I'm really grateful that I can do that. You can find me on X or GitHub or LinkedIn under this handle. So that's enough about me. Yeah, did you know that React Native is 10 years old? Who knew that? Yeah, couple of people familiar with React Native. It starts to be a pretty old technology, but at the same time, it isn't. So on the Roger's early technology adoption curve, we believe that React Native is somewhere here, between early adopters and early majority, which means that React Native is used in many places, and we believe it can and will be used in vast majority of other places. So there's tremendous potential for growth, and we're seeing that React Native is growing. Every year there's more and more developers using React Native, and actively building the top apps in their space, in their categories. So for example, in the finance category on the US App Store, 35% of apps there, like the top 100 apps, are built with React Native, 35%. So that can give us some glimpse of where we can go and where React Native is really shining. So I want to show you some diverse landscapes of the projects that we work at CallStack using a community CLI. Because you can develop apps with some kind of build system. It's either community CLI or Expo. So first, we are doing React Native apps that are embedded into native applications. We are maintaining or evolving the code bases that are 5, 9 years old, and they started with React Native very, very early. So we are helping these companies to evolve these into some newer tools and upgrade them to new versions. And if you develop with React Native, you know it's sometimes a challenge to upgrade from one version to another. We're developing apps that have 10 different platforms. These are typically TV applications, and yeah, they're served on very different devices. We have apps that are sharing code between mobile and web. And one thing, yeah. We have enterprises that are moving their developers between web stuff and mobile stuff. So we see this is pretty common if a company sees that they have some free capacity in their web team and there is some work in the mobile team, they will tell you, hey, you're both using React, right? This is React and this is React Native. So go figure how to build mobile apps. We see that a lot, actually, and this is one of the premises of React Native. So you can just use React to build your not only web but also mobile applications. We have apps that need different specialized bundlers, and currently Metro is a default bundler in React Native Word, and we have some clients that don't want to use Metro for various reasons. So at CallStack we know a fair bit about this community CLI, so I can share you a brief story. It started with a project called RNPM, or React Native Package Manager, that was around 10 years ago. It was started by our founder, who's working in my team, or leading our team right now. This project evolved to the React Native CLI. It was moved into the core of React Native because it was so essential to the project success. And then it was moved away from the core of React Native to the community, hence the name React Native Community CLI, because this way we could develop faster, not tied to the core React Native infrastructure, which is tied to Meta's internal systems. At the same time, Expo Go, or then Exponent, was developed as an easier way to start with React Native that has everything baked in. And later on, they figured something called continuous native generation, where based on some JSON or JavaScript configuration, you can generate your native iOS Android folders. So this is pretty neat and turned out really great for developers that are just starting with React Native or are not that familiar with iOS or Android tooling. And on the React side, we had those big shifts. So React started with single page apps and server-side rendering. Then it went through re-architecture of its internals, aka Fiber. So this allowed for concurrent rendering with React. And lately, React has been focused still on the servers with React Server Components, so we can have a component composition that lives between server and client and can be interleaved. So yeah, and around this time, both React and React Native teams said, yeah, our React and React Native libraries, as we like to refer to them, are getting too complex to use. So you should basically use a framework. So for React, we got Next.js, Remix. Now there's Redwood as well, TanStack, Start, maybe some others. And for React Native, we only had Expo as a framework, working with iOS, Android, and web. So what this means for the Community CLI project, because it's like some kind of quasi-framework, it's not really a framework, it's designed to be very bare bones. So yeah, so we thought there is some place for innovation in this place. So we started to play with some ideas, and before I'll get that, I want you to quickly go through like one of the projects or one of the problems that we were facing, which is end-to-end tests, and how this like is typically run. So with end-to-end tests, we have some continuous integration workflow that is running its setup, running simulators. It's like shared between all the workflows, and there are some steps to build that you need to do, like build the app for a target platform, boot your simulator, install the app, and run your end-to-end tests. For physical devices, it's pretty similar, but you need the hardware setup, and you need to sign your application, either with Android Key Store, that's like typical, and you can use the debug key store. But for iOS, it's a bit more challenging, especially if you haven't done it. And you can also run these tests on the device farm. So then the setup is pretty similar to the devices. And all these steps are sharing like one common thing, which is building the app for some target. And we notice in our clients that this is taking a lot of time. So this is like end-to-end test suite for Expensify. It's an open source app. You can go to github/expensify/new And you can see this app, actually, it's using some of our stuff. And their performance test ran for over 1.5 hours. So this is not a quick feedback that you're getting from your library. So developers usually didn't pay attention to what's happening there. And they were also triggered manually because they were too expensive to run automatically on every build. So what if we have the possibility to skip this build? What if it didn't exist, right? We would have some setup for CI, a few minutes, then running the test. This is the part that takes a lot of time, at least in this case, what's like 1 hour. But the building is 25 minutes for iOS and 25 minutes for Android. So it's not only long, but it's also expensive. It costs money. So if we remove that, we would have spent 20 minutes less on the building steps. We would have 20 minutes less of Linux compute, macOS compute, which is 10 times more expensive than Linux. And if you want to build your iOS apps, this is what you have to do. And per one pipeline, we would save over $2. So if my math is correct, this is around 12, 14 Chinese yuan. So yeah, it's expensive. It's just one run. In a big project, you will run the pipeline like this, 20 or 50 times a day. So this quickly adds up. So what it takes to skip the build? It takes a reliable caching of native builds and some remote storage to share native builds across the CI runs. And most of the companies that we work with at Cossack are doing it completely wrong. They cannot manage or solve this problem in an optimal way that's reproducible and not flaky. And yeah, caching is, we have this saying that there are two hard problems in computer science. One is caching, and second is naming. So coming back to our view of what was happening historically in the React Native ecosystems, when we seen there are some repeatable problems that we're solving for each and every client, like with this end-to-end tests and making them faster, or some regular builds that are taking a lot of time. So we've noticed that there's some space for a new React Native framework. And we've actually built one. It's called Rock, and it's a framework that's focused specifically on 3 use cases. And most importantly, it's focused on the enterprise scale and helping developers migrate from native to React Native, from old apps and old infrastructure to new one, and save them a lot of the compute locally and on the CI. So core principles of the framework is modular design, so you can plug in your stuff and replace some of our implementations with your own. It's self-hosting. You don't need third-party cloud to do stuff. You can implement and host it on your servers, in your country, whatever. We just provide some of the convenience for you, but you can build around it pretty easily. And it's about incremental adoption. So we made sure that it's easy to start with our framework and with React Native from a native application and from old community CLI projects. So this is how the configuration looks like. It's currently really simple. It will allow you to pick your bundler, plugins, define your platforms that you're supporting, and your remote cache provider. Self-hosted remote cache, this is the the interesting bit that I will get to. It has a simple interface like this, and like if you implement that interface with some methods to list, download, delete, and upload stuff from whatever you're storing, is it like local storage or some kind of AWS S3 or somewhere else, you can do that. You can like copy our solutions and adjust it to yours as well. And about incremental migration, Rock is designed for that. So you can start, like as a native application, you can start with Brownfield setup with our Brownfield plugin, or you can start with the community CLI setup in 10 minutes, and then you can, it's actually like 10 seconds right now because there's one command. And then you can adopt totally optional remote caching, which will likely result in you spending, and your CPUs, your compute spending 90% or over 90% less time building on Linux and on macOS. So I wanted to share some small case study that we've done with Expensify using Rock and remote cache. We've introduced them into smart reuse of native built artifacts. They're using GitHub, so we've integrated our GitHub action that is configuring everything for you with that setup. And if for whatever reason you cannot use GitHub, you could also use some of your own adapters like some like AWS S3 or Cloudflare R2, and yeah, soon we may add some more options like for Circle CI. The way it works is we have the CLI which calculates a checksum or fingerprint before running iOS and Android builds, and it will check your remote cache, or first it will check your local cache. If you have the build associated with this fingerprint, then this fingerprint is based on your native project state. So it's gonna be the same on your machine, on your colleague machine, and on your server. That's the promise. That's something that should be true for reproducible builds. So if there's no local cache, it will hit the server. If the server has your app, your APK, for example, or an IPA file, it will download it and simply install on the device. So in such case, there's no building, there's no running Xcode build, there's no running Gradle wrapper. It's just downloading the app and installing on the device. And if the remote cache is hit, as in this example, most of your CI jobs will look like this. You'll have a build for release and debug that takes 30 to 60 seconds, and the time spent there is mostly installing NPM dependencies. And the job will figure that, yeah, there is a cache stored in our remote cache system, so there's no need to build. You can just follow up with your work, like I'm finished, or if this is like a release type of build for a pull request, it will just run your JavaScript bundle command, so you have a fresh JavaScript in that binary. So in case of Expensify, what this meant is that from 100% of commits that were triggering the native iOS and Android build pipelines, they were reduced to 4%. So it turns out that 96% of the changes in that code base is JavaScript. It's just changing JavaScript, either configuration or some logic. And this is true for a lot of React Native projects. You actually don't fiddle with native files that often. You build React, you build it with React, you build with TypeScript and JavaScript. So they were doing their CI servers worked 20 times harder than they should have, basically. So in total, when we look at their weekly operating time spent on builds, we reduced that from 16 hours to 90 minutes. And this is like 10x reduction in the time spent, like overall CPU time spent. And this is for 25 builds. So every build took around 40 minutes, and the caching is not free. It will run for 2 minutes. So 25 times we were calculating that these fingerprints installing dependencies, this added up to around 50 minutes total. So that's why it's there are some opportunities to make it even better, but this is like 10x reduction. And in terms of cost, they went from $6,000 to $300. This is 20x smaller cost, and this is bigger than this 10x compute time because macOS runners are more expensive. So the more time you spend building your iOS applications, the more you can save, actually. So yeah, that's just from turning on our remote caching system. And Rock is not only about remote caching, it's also about going from native iOS and Android apps to React Native cross-platform apps. So today, which we call Brownfield. And officially, what you need to do, according to the React Native documentation, you need to set up some file structure, make changes to your native folders, which is not great if you want to just start with a new framework and you need to change stuff that you have there. Then you need to set up NPM dependencies and CocoaPods. And how many of you are developing iOS applications? Like for Apple platform? It's yeah, okay. There's mostly Android, I guess. But in the Apple ecosystem, CocoaPods is something that doesn't exist at this point, but it exists in React Native. So it's like adopting some ancient technology just to try this new technology, which React Native is. And then you integrate React Native into your dependencies, and also React Native's own dependencies necessary to build. So this starts to get really, really complex for an average native engineer. And then you can import React in your application and instantiate in your native app. So with Rock, we're taking care of all these 3 steps for you. So you can just install Brownfield plugin in your React Native project, run one command, the package command, for a given platform, and this command will produce a framework file that will wrap your whole application into a framework or AAR for Android. And the only thing that you need to do is, like manually, if you're starting with it, is configuring these new targets. And in your native application, drag and dropping your framework files, or just including them in your project. So it's not that you need to change your structure. You don't need to install NPM, like anything about JavaScript. You don't need to install CocoaPods. You just install framework file as a single executable. And then you simply instantiate React in your native app. Or actually, you import your app as a framework that holds it all together. So to start with Rock, you can type this command, npm create rock at latest. It will welcome you with some welcome screen, ask you some questions on how you want to get started. And this is the same command if you have a existing React Native application. You can type this command in your app and it will migrate you to Rock from the community CLI project. For existing projects, for existing native projects, you want to start with Brownfield plugins. So we provide you with Brownfield iOS and Brownfield Android. And that's it. You can visit this website to get started with Rock. If you want to scan it, please do it. I'll just drink some water now. So there are some things that we still plan to build this year or later, like more out-of-tree platforms for TV, desktop, OpenHarmony, self-hosted over-the-air updates, continuous native generation, similar, like compatible with Expo ecosystem, and the React Server components that will be on top of our Rock router. So this is it about the Rock as a framework. Thank you very much, and I will now pass to Oscar, who will tell you about native feeling of your applications, which is super important because sometimes it's just too easy to, when having two applications, to say, oh, this is native and this is not native application. Oscar will tell you how to do it this way, that no one will notice that you're using JavaScript to orchestrate your native views so that it works seamlessly with your operating system. Thank you very much.